everyone, and welcome to episode 115 of the Talk is Cheap show. First up, I want to say happy St. Patrick's Day to all our Irish viewers who watch the show. Have a good day. Secondly, I want to say to my left here, you would have noticed the big man's back. Mr. Curtis Shaw from Curtis Shaw TV in the house. What are you saying, bro?
What's happening, bro?
Well, go on. Tell me.
I'm back, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day, you know. You know, Jamaicans, we love a Guinness as well, innit? So there's a connection
Guinness
there.
punch.
Guinness punch, you know. So big up. But yeah, man, back in the building. Big up Robbie for covering for me last week. Yeah.
Had a good time away?
Yeah. Just.
What have you been up to? Anything?
Nah, usual stuff, man. Usual stuff. Content and gym and all of that good stuff. But,
yeah, it's good to see you back.
Yeah,
I mean, we had a good show last week with Robbie.
I watched it.
But yeah, it's great to have you back, man. I'm looking forward to hear what you got to say. Plenty of fire for you. Before we go any further, kind of news and notes. I just wanted to, because we haven't had a chance to get your opinions on the show. What do you make of what's been going on down the road at West London with this Abramovich thing in Chelsea?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's all kind of unraveling. I don't think they can sell merch. Fans can't go to certain games and stuff. I don't know, like they've benefited for a long time from Abramovich, haven't they? And let's be honest, we knew there were certain rumblings about where's that money come from, what is he involved in. People are questioning the Newcastle owners. Listen, most billionaires are probably billionaires because they've done a few bits, you know what I mean, that weren't too, you know. But listen, even though they're a rival club, I don't want to see them go, you know what I mean, down the planet. We still want that healthy competition, but you know, they've nice for the last decade and a half. So, you know, if he has to go, he has to go. I think there are bigger issues than football at the moment, and that's kind of where the focus is.
What's your thoughts on like the ethical kind of concerns with owners and stuff like that? Or are you just going to do the Eddie Howe and just
I will give you a comment about it, you know.
Plead the fifth, pleed the Eddie.
Yeah,
plead the Eddie.
But do you know what? I think the Premier League and the FA have got to look at themselves. You know, let's not, you know, you didn't mind when Abramovich bought the club and pumped money into the league, same with Newcastle. Now you're getting let's start looking at where the money's come from because people have called you out on it. So, you know, I think it's a little bit hypocritical of the Premier League.
And you make a good point there because Eddie Howe himself said, didn't he, when he was asked about the Newcastle's ownership, he said, listen, man, at the end of the day, the Premier League approved them as owners.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think that was a good response by him. But yeah, anyway, interesting to get your thoughts on that. But moving on then to matters closer to home. The first segment, as you guys who know, watch the show regular, will be to review Arsenal's games. And since the last show, there's been 2 games. I'm going to start with the first one very, very briefly. Our first game, a 2-0 home win against Leicester. Curtis, just very briefly, your thoughts on that game?
I thought it was a good display. I think Brendan Rodgers really, you could see with the team selection, he's really trying to win that Conference League now. Put Tielemans and Ndidi on the bench. I actually predicted the Thomas Partey goal. Oh, wow. I don't know why. I just had a feeling he was going to score, and it was great to see him score. He's been in good form the last few weeks. I thought
he scored and hit the bar.
And hit the bar, yeah. The pigeons are safe right now, man. You know, he's not clearing the North Bank at the moment, you know.
He's getting closer and closer. He started at Rosette and he's working his way down. Now he's hit the bar.
No, I thought it was a good display. You know, we've took 6 points off Leicester this year. Leicester are, you know, they're a good team in the Premier League. And I thought it was a good performance. Good, solid performance. Good win. Clean sheet again. And
Odegaard as well.
Odegaard bossed it. Great save from Ramsdale, from Harvey Barnes' header. So, no, I thought it was a good display, good deserved win.
Yep. And of course, that set things nicely up for the second game. The second game against Liverpool. A game that, going into this game, I'd labelled it the informed derby. Because of the nature of the way the two teams were playing. That was a massive game. Under the lights, midweek, North versus South. 2 of the Premier League's heavy hitters, and as I said, 2 teams in great form. I think like Arsenal won their last 5. Liverpool going into that game, I think they'd won 8 straight.
8 straight.
You know what I mean? So it was a massive game, and of course, Liverpool needed the win because they're going for the title. We're obviously in pole position for that 4th place. We needed to keep winning. It was a set up to be a great game, man. In terms of the game itself, I'll just kick off by saying the first half, I thought we did really well. Thought we matched them for energy. And I thought our pressing game was good. We looked lively, we looked energetic. And for quality as well, I thought we more than matched them.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Yeah.
No, I thought first half we did really well.
Yeah.
We made life difficult for him. You could see Klopp wasn't happy as well.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
it was positive.
And I think, when we went in for that first half, start second half coming out, I thought, you know what, something significant could happen here. But I was always wary, they say in games like this, when you're on top or when you're playing well, you need to try and get a goal, because if you don't, it's always going to be an uphill struggle if you concede.
Yeah.
So I was always a bit wary, because I was thinking, if Arsenal are going to win, we need to score first.
Yeah, agreed.
Because, it'd be, like I said, an uphill battle. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, man. And in the 54th minute, have to say, as much as we've been bigging him up on this show, and he'd made that great save against Leicester, and had Brendan Rodgers saying, wow, and all that. Ramsdale, man, got beaten on his near post by that shot. Listen, he should have saved it, really, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think he's trying to be a little bit clever, and I think he expects Jota to go across him to the far post. So it felt like his body weight was leaning towards the left. Jota's hit it at the near post, and then he's moved to his right a little bit slow. Having said that, he does get a hand on it, and you think if you've got a really strong hand there, you might be able to palm that out. So he'll know this morning. He'll be sitting there. I think he's been brilliant for us this season, but that is a big mistake.
It is.
We can't deny that, and I would expect a top goalkeeper to save that. So he's going to learn, but we're learning in harsh circumstances,
And I felt for him, because, like I said, he made that great save against Leicester, and people were talking about him, being the number one for England. Of course, they're going to name the England squads in the coming days. And so you would have thought, but it just didn't. He actually palmed it in, didn't he?
Yeah, he did,
So I felt for him. It's unfortunate, but these things happen. And Jota, what we saying about him, man? That's what, 7 goals in 7 games now?
Yeah, man. Him and Firmino, their goal record against Arsenal is just ridiculous. Like, no matter what kind of form they're in, they score against us, man.
You get players like that, innit? They don't do much else. I mean, not Jota, because he's been playing phenomenally well, but some other players I could name. Firmino's one of them, where he doesn't necessarily score that many goals.
Yeah.
But for some reason, whenever he plays against Arsenal,
he gets a goal.
To get on a goal.
Yeah,
so... Yeah, so that was 1-0, and I must admit, when that goal went in, I was a little bit deflated, because I was thinking, you know what, if we were going to, as I said before, if we were going to win this game, we needed to score first. So that kind of put me on the back foot a little bit. And then 8 minutes later, I think it was, Firmino. What I found a bit disappointing about that goal was that, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Yes, Firmino goes in the box and does what he does, and he took the goal well. But there was 3 defenders around him. Yeah. And I was a little bit disappointed that they seemed to be ball watching rather than they missed the run. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
No, I think the goal was a really poor goal to concede. I think Saka, the ball was going out for a throw-in. He could have maybe let it roll out for a throw-in. Or if you're going to clear it properly, he hits it straight at Robertson. Then Ben White doesn't go out and close him, and then Firmino kind of gets the run between Ben White and Gabriel and scores it. It's a poor goal to concede. It was. I think that's what was so disappointing for me, was both those goals are avoidable. If they split you apart with 3 or 4 passes, and sometimes you just got to go, that's just quality. But both goals are poor goals. And when you're playing a team of that standard, you can't give them anything. They gave us an opportunity with Martin Odegaard, and we never punished them, and then we gave them 2 goals. And it's those fine margins, and I think that's where we haven't quite bridged that gap yet in quality with these teams.
Yeah, you make an excellent point, because you actually look at the stats of the game, and I've got those down here. Shots on goal, 9 each. Shots on target, 2 for Arsenal, 3 for Liverpool. Possession, very close again, 48% for Arsenal, 52 for Liverpool. So when you look at the stats, it was quite a close game.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that, as you alluded to earlier, you've got to be clinical. And when you're in a good passage of play, you've got to try and score. Because if you don't, especially against teams like this, and you give away opportunities at the other end, it's more than likely they're going to take them. So, and I must admit, once we'd gone 2-0 down, I kind of felt...
done and dusted, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't like to openly admit it, but I was kind of thinking to myself, this is going to be a long night to get back in this game. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is something that me and you have discussed on the show several times before. What did you think of the substitutions, or lack thereof, in terms of the timings?
Yeah,
Would you like to have seen earlier?
We only really had 2 players on the bench that I felt like, from an attacking sense, you felt like could make a big impact, Smith Rowe and Pepe. He brought Smith Rowe on quite early, but I think they'd scored already. And then he holds Pepe back and brings him on for the last 15 minutes. And I think he's got to be a little bit more ruthless and decisive with the changes. You look at Klopp, early in the game, Jota scored, he still takes him off. Double change. I know, listen, they've got huge quality on the bench to bring on, but Saka was having a bad night.
He was,
it's one of them. It happens. He's a young player. What's wrong with bringing Pepe on with 30 minutes to go while we're still in the game? You go and have a go at Robertson. We can't get top 4 based purely on 11 players. You've got to use 2 or 3 of those squad players and give them an opportunity. Pepe changed that game against Wolves the other week.
He did.
And his reward for that has been hardly any game time since. So how's he ever going to build on that? So I would have liked to have seen Pepe come on earlier, but I just think this manager doesn't trust him.
Yeah, it does look that kind of way. And also, you've got to factor into the equation that, listen, as well as we've been playing, right, it has to be said that Lacazette and the front line, we're not scoring goals prolifically.
Yeah.
So if you've got somebody in your team like Pepe, who's a bit of a mercurial talent, I think you've got to try and fit him in and use him.
Yeah.
Use him as an impact sub. As soon as things are not quite happening, you think to yourself, get this guy on, see what he can do. Because
let's be honest, and I think we all know, we took a massive gamble in January. We decided to go with Lacazette and Nketiah as our strikers till the end of the season. And let's face it, they're not prolific.
The manager said, didn't he, that he's not worried about where the goals are going to come from because of Nketiah and Lacazette. Now, I would say...
I would be worried. You know what I mean? I would be worried.
I would say that, was he blowing smoke?
Yeah, I think he was.
Because I think, the stats suggest something completely different.
Yeah, 4 goals this season for Laka, 2 penalties. I know people say hard work, link-up play, assists. Ultimately, he's a £50 million striker. He's not some cheap striker that we bought. Yeah. And a lot of these games, there's not enough goal threat there. I was joking that, Van Dijk could have took his shirt off and just hung it up and said, save that till the weekend, because we never tested him. I would have liked to have seen in that game, maybe Arteta move somebody else through the middle, whether that's Martinelli, who obviously was doing bits against Trent, or Pepe. Somebody that's going to force him to be on the back foot a little bit and think, this guy's going to run at me, he's going to do something. Because Lacazette didn't trouble Van Dijk. A lot of the time he was basically in midfield. So I just think at times do something a little bit different.
Yeah, I would agree, because listen, people, we're not trying to be overly or hypercritical of the manager, but what we're saying is it's pretty clear that the front line, as it were, are not prolific in terms of scoring goals. So as a manager, you perhaps have to be a bit more creative with your substitutions. You need to be a bit more proactive. Yeah. When things are not quite happening, you've got to, come up with something to try and change things, or it's formation changes, substitutions, both situations, But I just think that sometimes it's almost like the game's running away before we get the sub. Yeah. And that's been a consistent criticism I've had of the manager. So it's not like I'm just saying this in the aftermath of the Liverpool defeat.
Listen, one thing, just before you carry on.
Sure.
A lot of people were saying last night to me, Liverpool are better than us. Kind of
Which they are.
Accept the defeat because they're better. The beauty of sport, the reason we watch football, play or whatever, is because anything can happen. That's what makes it so exciting. I understand Liverpool are better than us. If they play well and we play well, they're probably going to beat us. But Liverpool have drawn to Brentford, drawn to Brighton, lost to West Ham, lost against Leicester. They're a great team, one of the best in Europe, but they're not unbeatable. And we've played Liverpool 4 times this season and haven't scored a goal against them, which is quite damning for a team like Arsenal. So I would have just liked to have seen Arteta, throw a little curveball at Klopp and give him something he wasn't expecting. Listen, it's a big learning curve. Last night I was a lot more frustrated than I am now. I've kind of calmed down a little bit and thought, you know what? We've just got to win that next game now and learn from this. But we can't keep just thinking every time we play a team that's above us that it's a write-off.
Yeah.
Eventually, you got to at least get a draw. You got to nick the odd win here and there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but they've got to learn from it moving forward. You know.
That being said, there were some plus points.
Yeah.
Notably Martinelli, who had an excellent game.
Yeah.
He had Trent on toast a couple of times.
I tell you what, he didn't need to have dinner when he got home, mate, because he was feasting on the pitch, man, you know. And I'm a big fan of Trent. I think he's a top right
Trent's
back.
Quality. Trent's
you
quality.
know, Martinelli had him. He knew, man. Trent was panicking. He was calling over help. You know, he knew every time Martinelli had the ball, he was on the back foot. I think the one thing, and obviously we were speaking about it with Martinelli, is we've got to see more end product.
Yeah.
You know, I think Martinelli is a potential superstar, but if you get past Trent 4 or 5 times, we need a goal to come from that. Because if you get past him but don't do anything, ultimately you haven't hurt him, and that's what he needs to add to his game. I do think one thing though, when Martinelli's got the ball, I think at times our players watch him.
Yeah.
And let's see what he does, where I think you've got to get around him sometimes, get closer to him, give him more options.
Yeah.
I noticed Odegaard plays very close to Saka.
Yeah.
We don't seem to have that same thing with Martinelli, but yeah, I thought him and I thought Partey as well.
Yeah.
I thought he was fantastic again in midfield.
Yeah, Partey, man, he's really showing why Robbie did that little spin.
Yeah, why he spun around, you know.
But yeah, man, I was very encouraged by that performance. Going back to Martinelli, if I could just make an observation.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be critical because he played outstandingly well yesterday. But what I would say is that there have been times, and not just last night, previous games I've noticed where he's beaten the man and you're waiting for him now to put the cross in.
Yeah.
And he's delayed it. A lot of times he's cut back in on his other foot and you're thinking, perhaps that's an opportunity missed to get the ball in the box. Because, like you said, our strikers, for whatever reasons, are not scoring goals the way they should be. And I just think sometimes we need to give them maybe a bit more service. So what's your thoughts on that? Am I being hypercritical?
Listen, it's difficult because you look at Martinelli, he was the only player in our attack that actually put Liverpool on the back foot.
Yeah.
I get your point. I've said many times, for Martinelli to go to that next level, he's got to learn to play at different speeds. You can't do everything at 100 miles an hour. Sometimes you haven't got to run past Trent. You might be able to play a little 1-2, get into space. But I would imagine that will come with time. He's only 20. Arteta hasn't actually played him that much until the last few months. And it doesn't help when your striker is dropping into midfield a lot of the time. You know, you want him to be up there with
But
it.
even now, I would argue that, listen, Lacazette has been coached or he's been told to play a certain way.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And I think he does a lot of work off the ball, tracking back and stuff like that. Now, it's always been my contention that that's fine and dandy. However, it will also mean that when we break,
he's not there.
He's not in position to receive the ball. Or you're not playing on the last shoulder of the defender to perhaps make a difference in the opposition box that way. So, but hey, man, it is what it is. We lost the game. We'll learn from it. Following that game, my feeling was one of disappointment, but I wasn't totally deflated.
Yeah.
Because I thought, you know what I mean, to use your analogy, you were saying about the Liverpool game, yes, they are better than us at the moment. And it's not like we got smashed, was it? It was a very competitive game, certainly for the first 60 minutes or 55 minutes up until they scored. I thought we were very much in the game. Once they scored, you know what I mean, I said we were behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, we were.
And once they got the second one, I didn't really see us coming back, to be honest. But nevertheless, I think yesterday's game showed that we are making improvements. But that, if anything, puts more pressure on us for the second game we're going to talk about now. Our ops of the week, man.
Villa.
Difficult game.
Definitely.
Difficult game, man. Villa, away from home, early kickoff.
I don't like them early kickoffs either, you know. Really
Nor do Arsenal traditionally.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's, you know, they've got players that can hurt us.
Yeah.
Notably Coutinho, Ollie Watkins, Buendia, the lad Ramsey, you know what I mean? They've even got a certain goalkeeper there who seems to like playing against us these days.
Yeah.
So, Curtis, what's your thoughts on that game, bro?
Do you know what? It's one of them, innit? If we'd have drawn or beaten Liverpool, I'd be looking at Villa like, yeah, man, we're going to go there and deal with them. But because we've lost, it's like, I'm a little bit more like, wow, this, because the international break is after this game. So I'm like, you don't want to sit on that 2-week break on the back of 2 bad results lingering over you. So this becomes a massive game for us.
Big game.
Looking at it from a positive point of view, you know, Aston Villa have been inconsistent. You know, they were beaten by West Ham at the weekend. They seem to win, then they drop points. They're not actually firing on all cylinders.
No, they're not.
But like you said, 12:30 kickoff, Gerrard's going to be fired up. You know, he's going to have them up for it. Coutinho, a player that we were linked with. Buendia, a player that we were linked with. They're going to want to prove a point. And, you know, it's another one of them games that I think we'll find out what we're made of, because...
Ollie Watkins going to want to prove a point. Wasn't he a boyhood Arsenal fan?
Yeah, he's a boyhood Arsenal fan.
So.
And listen, we've been on a great run. And I think when you lose that game, then you find out how good you are. Can you recover from it straight away? I suppose the difficulty is Villa played on Sunday. We've played on Wednesday. How much has that game physically and mentally against Liverpool taken out of us? I think the players, they're going to have to brush that game off pretty quick, get back on the training ground and take it to them. You know, I think Villa at the back are not great. I think you can score goals against Villa. And listen, I think this is a must-win game. I don't even think we can afford to draw this game, if I'm being honest.
Not really. Definitely can't afford to lose.
No, definitely not.
I mean, let's look at Villa. So, they're 9th place in the table, 36 points, 28 games, won 11, lost 14, drawn 3. Their last 5 games, like you said, they lost to West Ham, but they've also lost in that 5 to Watford. Wow, it's a bit of a surprise. Yeah. And they've beaten Brighton, who are playing like a bit of a drain at the moment. Southampton, who are up and down, and Leeds, who are, again, playing like a bit of a drain. Yeah. So if you look at that form table compared to ours, we've lost 1 in our last 5, obviously, Liverpool. Yeah. We would be expected to be favourites, but like a lot of things, it doesn't always follow that way. And the fact that they're at home, the fact that they'll be up for it. And something I discussed with you earlier when we were talking about this game is that if you think about it, Villa in this game, they're not under so much pressure, are they?
Yeah, no, it's true.
And sometimes the way that will manifest itself is that it will allow them to play with a degree of freedom that if they had to win or had to avoid defeat, they may not have had. So when you've got players of the ability of Coutinho and Buendia, they might look at this as a game to showcase their skills more.
They will.
You know, so that may make them even more difficult opponents.
I think the key thing is to go there. You know, Villa Park is a good atmosphere as well. You know, before I think we've got to score the first goal. I know we say that all the time, but if you can go there, score, quiet down their fans, take control of the game. I think Villa defensively, I mean, look how many games they've lost this season. That's a lot of defeats.
It is a lot of defeats.
But they do have goal threat, and like
I think they're one of those teams, you know, that on their day,
you can beat
if they're
anyone.
up for it, they can beat anyone.
Yeah, but they can lose to anyone.
Exactly.
You know, like,
I was just about to say that.
So,
as evidenced by the Watford defeat. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? But I am expecting it to be a hard game.
Yeah,
and traditionally, we don't do well in those early kick-off games, man.
No.
But I think it's important that the mindset is right.
Yeah.
Now, I did hear something from the manager yesterday that concerned me ever so slightly. Yeah, I don't know if you picked up on it. You probably did. And that was when he was talking about the fixtures. So the Villa game, for those of you uninitiated, will be our 3rd game in effectively a week. So we would have had the Leicester game at home, the Liverpool game midweek, and the Villa game at the weekend. Do you share the manager's concerns about the 3 games in a week?
I think really he's got to deal with that a little bit, you know, more. I think if we'd have beaten or drawn with Liverpool, he wouldn't have mentioned it. I think he's been caught up in the emotion. Let's be honest, we're out of Europe. We've played 1 game a week pretty much all season. And obviously games have been called off because of, you know, COVID and whatever. So they've chucked a few games together. I mean, he decided to make our squad smaller in January. So he knew that these fixtures were gonna look like this. And if we get in the Champions League or the Europa League next season, we're gonna have loads of weeks where we play Saturday, you know, Wednesday or Thursday in the weekend. So I think he's got to take that, man. You know, most of these teams are having to play games like that anyway. So I wasn't really
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't really like hearing that.
Not when you've
because when you hear the manager talk like that, you're almost giving the players an excuse if we don't perform to say, well, actually, it's 3 games in a week. You know what I mean? Listen, I understand that 3 games in a week, it is taxing. Players do need time to rest and recuperate and prepare for the next game, but I thought that was slightly negative for me. I wish he hadn't mentioned that, made a big deal of it in that way, because I think the attitude and you see, this is where he's going to earn his money. This is where the manager now, we're coming off the back of a disappointing defeat. But like I said, we shouldn't be deflated because we've lost to, one of the top 2 teams in this country, one of the best teams in Europe, without a doubt. So it's not a lot of people would have predicted what happened last night. Let's be honest. I'm sure the bookies would have made Liverpool favourites. I'm not a betting man, but I would have thought so. But, So what I'm saying is, listen, it's not the end of the world losing to. However, if we lose to Villa,
then it does
take on a slightly more serious.
Because that international break, 2 weeks, is pretty boring. You're always thinking about the last game. If we're coming off 2 bad results, it's like, man, and then we got Palace out away after the international break, another difficult game. Usually, so
it's important then that because listen, we lost the game, but I'm sure you would agree with me, there's no need to panic, people.
There isn't, no, there isn't.
That being said, though, he needs to lift the players, and we need to go into this game with a positive mindset, which, listen, I'm sure he will try and do that.
He has to.
He has to do that. Listen, we've got to go there in a positive frame of mind. Can I just ask you, what sort of team would you like to see play? Does he play the same team, or would you like to see him introduce a few changes for this game? Because we can't use the adage, you can't change a winning team because we just lost. So can he make changes?
You know what?
Will he make changes? What changes will he make?
It's tough because I think Smith Rowe and Pepe have got a right to maybe say, do you know what? Maybe I'm due a game. 3 games in a week. If you're going to moan about it, really, you should use the players that are fresher. So,
and if you're Smith Rowe, I mean, we talked about Pepe, but if you're Smith Rowe, you're actually the top scorer. You'll be thinking to yourself, well, I'm fit now, man. I
want a chance here.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting because who would you take out of the team for them? Because Martinelli's just played so well against Trent. You kind of want to keep him going. Was Saka suffering from fatigue against Liverpool, or was it just Robertson got the better of him? I thought
he looked a bit off it.
He looked off it. Odegaard had a quiet game against Liverpool. Fabinho kind of, Lacazette up front. Could you play Martinelli up front, drop Smith Rowe on the left?
Or could you even say, we'll take Lacazette out the firing line for a while, maybe start with Eddie? Something different?
Well, I don't know about that one. I can't lie. You know what I mean? I'm all for changes.
No, but you know what it is, right? The manager said, right, it's on the record, you could go back and look at it. When he was asked a few weeks back about when we didn't get Vlahovic, he said, listen, I've got no concerns about goals because we've got Eddie and Nketiah and Lacazette in the team. So, he's got to be true to his word, isn't he? He actually said that, people.
I think
so
we all
if you
know
say that
Eddie,
it goes by... You know what I mean? Then we want to see him.
No, I'd rather not.
Well, you wouldn't want to see him. No,
I'd rather play Martinelli up front,
okay.
if anything. But I think there's a shout there for Pepe and Smith Rowe to get in the team.
I would say
tired legs, man. That Liverpool game, there'll be some players waking up this morning going, that was tough. Like, that's took a lot out of me. So,
and it's important as well for team morale that if he does make changes, whoever loses out should not feel that they've been dropped or punished for us losing the game. You have to rotate the squad. You have to make the best use of the players. Like I said, Smith Rowe, before getting injured, he was our top goal scorer. So at some point he needs to come back in. This would, for me, would be a good game for him to come back in. So if we're going to, you know what I mean? Likewise with Pepe, we said it earlier, or you said it, that the last time he'd featured, a decent amount of time, he was man of the match and got us a win. Scored and got an assist. So he's probably thinking, listen, man, you know what I mean?
Do some game
Let me off the leash.
You
know what I mean? So what would you do, bro? If you're the manager this weekend,
do you know what?
Would you make changes, and if so, who?
I think there's a shout for Smith Rowe coming back into the team because of his energy, but who do you take out the team? No, this is a tricky one.
You got to take that person to one side and say, listen, man, I've been playing well, man, but we need this win, and I think I need to change things a little bit.
Do you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'll take Lacazette out.
You would?
Yeah, I'll take him out.
He's a captain, though.
I know, but, you know.
Give the armband to Xhaka?
Well, no, give it to Kieran Tierney, man. He'll say, I don't want it. He said, get that away from me, man. I don't want it. No, I just think...
Shout out to Xhaka, by the way. He had a good game as well.
You know what, he's playing.
That partnership with him and Partey, man, is looking really solid.
Yeah, it is.
So,
give him... All right, I knew. You couldn't wait to do that, could you?
No, but I mean, I'm just keeping it 100, man. He's been playing well recently.
I still want to upgrade him in the summer, though.
Yeah, but for the time being, man, let's get this fourth place sorted first.
No, do you know what? I give Smith Rowe a chance. I would give him a chance because I think his energy, the goal threat, and I think pace and movement will trouble Tyrone Mings and people like that. And Laka looked exhausted when he came off. They were calling him Lacazette, man. Lacazette, they called him.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Pepe, I mean, it depends. With Saka, if there was any kind of injury or fatigue there, I don't know if he just had a bad game or if there was an issue. If there's an issue there, maybe then you give him a rest as well.
Yeah, I think, listen, with young players, you are going to get games when, for whatever reason, it just doesn't quite happen for them.
Yeah.
The manager has to recognise it and, you know, take him off as he did in his last game. And maybe for the next game, you say, you know what, he was a little bit under the levels that you normally perform at. We think he may be a little bit fatigued, even if he isn't.
Yeah.
You just say that, don't worry,
you
will feature in the game.
You'll come on, but
we're gonna,
give you a rest.
We're gonna try and give everyone a game. I'm sure Saka will. He doesn't look like the kind of guy that's going to throw his toys out the pram. And
I suppose the only other option, you could play Smith Rowe in the 10 instead of Odegaard, but then Odegaard's been in good form. I don't think one game against Liverpool is enough for Arteta maybe to drop him. So.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I don't think with either Odegaard or Saka, that if you say to them, you wasn't quite at the levels that you normally are.
Yeah. They would accept it.
They're not going to say my hip flexors playing me.
What, and fly to Portugal?
I'm sure the hip flexors are not going to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Cristiano doesn't do the bench.
What, me?
Me, bench?
No, man, that's not in the contract, man.
That's when I'm going to the airport.
Oh, man. But listen, if he was to rotate the squad, I like to call it, not dropping, I'm sure those guys... I'm sure they buy into the project, or they trust the process. Yeah. So I'm sure they'll be okay with it. Any other changes?
I mean, listen, the only other one is if Tomiyasu's fit. I think people expected him back yesterday. He wasn't even on the bench. So,
what is the nature of the injury?
Well, apparently he's got a calf injury. He had one in one leg, and then he cleared that up, and then he pulled the muscle in the other. So, is he struggling to adapt to the Premier League from Italy? I don't know. He's had a pretty good season, but. You know what? To be fair, Cedric's done all right the last few games. You have to give him his props, but I do think Tomiyasu is that little bit better defensively.
Yeah, and I think his physicality as well is a little bit...
a bit bigger, a bit more, bit stronger, better in the air as well. So,
and Villa, you know what I mean? They've got some very capable forwards.
It's going to be a tough game.
The boy Ramsey's impressed me.
Yeah.
Coutinho, and we said Ollie Watkins, Coutinho, Buendia. We said it before, we'll say it again. And they are well managed. Yeah. You know, I mean, they're well coached, so it's going to be a test, man. But I am looking forward to this game. Yeah. So, score prediction, bro. You knew this was coming, so
it's a tough one.
What are you saying, bro?
I'm going to go along with you. I'm going for that safe.
That safe one.
I'm going for the safe 2-1 win. 2-1. Because that really means that I'm not overly confident, but
that means that, you know what I mean,
I'm hopeful more than expectation. No, listen, I still think that we can go there with our chest out. Listen, we're better than Villa. We're above them in the league. We beat them at home. They have lost a lot of games and conceded a lot of goals. They will be fired up, but I'm hoping that our quality shines through. We can't afford to go into a little mini crisis if we lose this game. Turn it around, win the game. The Liverpool game doesn't look as bad if we go and beat Aston Villa. All of a sudden you go, well, we lost to Liverpool, but we recovered. International break, we can chill and come back in 2 weeks. This is a must-win game. We need to go there and deal with them.
But if we don't win it, at the very least, we can't afford to lose.
No, we can't afford to lose. But, you know, at this stage, a draw would still be not great.
While we're on that, let's look at the table in terms of that fourth spot.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's start from the top. Man City, 70 points. Liverpool, 69. Chelsea, 59. We got 51, played 27, are in 4th. Man United are currently in 5th. Played 29 games, so we've got 2 games in hand, and West Ham after that 48 points, played 29. Tottenham. Now Tottenham, we got to mention them, man, because they have won, you know, I've got to say it. I don't like to admit it, but it is the truth. Going forward, they do look a bit more threatening than us right now, namely because of Harry Kane. He's on a rich goal-scoring run of form. Yeah. Do you see them as a threat to top 4?
I mean, listen, we don't want to admit it, but they are.
They are.
I think Carragher said it last night on Sky. He said Arsenal maybe collectively have got the best team out of the teams going for 4th, but we don't have the individual quality that Spurs have got with Kane and Son, that United have got with people like Ronaldo. So that's my only concern, that in tight games, sometimes that Ronaldo bit of quality, that Kane can get you the win. We haven't quite got that at the moment with Lacazette through the middle. We're relying on the younger players. So, listen, there's a lot of big games. We've got to play them.
And I think you can say the same for United as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Saw Shakira, hips don't lie.
The hips don't lie. Man went from hip flex to a hat trick the week after, you know.
The hips don't lie.
It was a good holiday, wasn't it?
They were in good working order against Tottenham last week.
The hip came back to life. Maybe had a hip transplant in Portugal, man, but he was back.
He was on it, man.
He was. Although they weren't on it against Atletico the other day, that's for sure.
Yeah,
so
but the point I'm trying to make, and I'm sure you agree with me, is that on their day, they got players like that.
Match winners, yeah.
And even like Cavani and people like that who can score goals. Rashford, okay, he's not playing very well at the moment, but, you know, he can do his thing as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think in that department, Tottenham and Man United, we have to concede that they have the edge over us. As a team, certainly, collectively, we are playing better than them and we're doing better than them. But you just worried, didn't you? That,
that little bit of magic.
They might score their way to that 4th spot.
That's it's going to be very close.
It's going to be tough.
I don't think any of those teams can be confident that they're getting it. It's about who kinds of hold it together the best. So.
Would you say we're still in pole position? I mean, points-wise, mathematically speaking, if we win all our games, then
we get it. Yeah.
But it doesn't quite work like that, as we've seen against Liverpool.
And we got tough fixtures. But listen, we're the favourites because it's in our hands.
Yeah, I would say so.
There's a long way to go, that is for sure.
Absolutely. And so to conclude then, we're winding things up a little bit. You're happy that, well, not happy, but you're reasonably confident that we can go to Villa and get a 2-1 win.
No, I think we can beat Villa. I've watched them a few times, but obviously, again, you were talking about individual brilliance. I think Coutinho is a brilliant player. If you give him time and space, he will damage you, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, they've lost a lot, they've conceded a lot, they've defended poor this year. We've got to ask questions of them. If we win this game, everything calms down. 2 weeks break, we reflect on that race. But if we draw or lose, I think there's a little problem there. So this is a massive game, but I do think we'll grind out a win.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm going for 2-1 as well. I must admit, I would like to see a couple of changes.
Yeah.
Let's rotate the squad a bit. Let's bring in some of the other players who have been on the periphery and see what they can do, give them their chance. But I think above all, this weekend is going to tell us a lot about the mental state of the team. Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to that game with that in mind, to see how they cope.
Can they recover?
Can they go away from home against a decent team when the pressure's on and put in a performance worthy of the name? I think they can. Yeah. You certainly think they can. And I'm sure you guys out there think they can as well. And we're coming to the end of the show. Yeah, man. Listen, man, thanks very much for coming back on this week. Bro. Great to have you back. We had Robbie last week.
Robbie and Ketty for stepping in.
We had Robbie on last week. Good show. Another great show today. Good. Great to have you back, man. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, man, Curtis Shaw TV.
For the 114th time or whatever.
They know by now anyway. You know where you can find me.
But for the people who may not have come across you before, man, tell the people where they can find you.
Curtis Shaw TV, daily uploads and some home truths on there, that's for sure. But
always great content, bro.
I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, nice one. And listen, guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate your support. Let's keep the show interactive. I keep making that mistake. Let's keep the show interactive. What do you think of the things we spoke about today? Can Arsenal bounce back? Got a loss, obviously, to Liverpool. but we've got a difficult game coming up. We think we can go there and get a result. Do you agree with us? Would you like to see a few changes to the team? If so, who? Or would you like to say things to keep the same as they are? We want to know what you think. Let us know. Like, share, subscribe. Keep watching, keep supporting. We appreciate it very much. See you next week.